Hey again, new final chapter on nouns, pronouns, adjectives. And from here we transition into verbs in the next chapter, chapter 15. But in chapter 14, we are going to look at what is called relative pronoun. You know what a relative pronoun is? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you about it in the next few minutes. In English, the words who, that, which, or whom, whose are relative pronouns. The The word who in English, the relative pronoun who refers to people. You can never say who referring to a dog or a tree. Who refers to people. You can say the teacher whom we love teaches Greek. I hope that is true of me. So the teacher whom we love. The word whom is a relative pronoun that refers to teacher, and it refers to a person, not a thing. Now, the word whose is used for a personal reference. For a personal reference, you can say, I sold the car whose color made me sick. Okay, or I sold the motorcycle whose wheels were bad. Whose wheels were bad. The whose, it is something personal about that motorcycle. It is something personal about that car that made you feel a certain way. Which tends to be neuter. It will refer to things that are not masculine or feminine. And then that can be any gender. That can be any gender. But notice, these relative pronouns are not interrogatives. An interrogative would be something like, who are my students? Who are my students? That is a question. Interrogatives means questions. No, relative pronouns are not interrogatives. So let's keep that in mind. Again, the English relative pronouns are who, personal, who referring to people, whose is personal, which is neuter, that could be masculine, feminine, or neuter. Not interrogatives, they are not used in questions. Now, there is something called a relative clause that we need to understand, which are introduced by relative pronouns. So, what is a relative clause? A relative clause is a clause in the sentence that modifies something or that depends on something. So a pronoun, a relative pronoun, is the first word in a relative clause. You can also call the relative clause a dependent clause. Like when you say, come to me, whoever is thirsty, and I will give you, and I will give drink. The sentence is, come to me, and I will give drink. The relative clause is, whoever is thirsty. The relative pronoun is whoever, and when you say whoever plus the verb is thirsty, you have a clause. That is called a dependent clause. Who is to come to me? Whoever is thirsty. Come to me. So it will usually modify a noun, and it can be like can function like as a substantive, meaning it can take the place of a noun. When you say whoever is last will be first, the whoever there is substantive. It is standing in place of a noun, a person. Whoever is thirsty, whoever is last will be first. And again, we have seen this, come to me, whoever is thirsty. That is a relative clause. Whoever is thirsty. It is a relative clause because it is introduced by a relative pronoun, whoever. Another example, whoever is last. That is a relative clause standing in place of a noun, substantive. Whoever is last will be first. So the dependent clause, the relative clause is whoever is last. Now in the Greek, the relative pronouns are hos, he, ho. Hos, he, ho. First of all, do not confuse the he there to be the feminine definite article. Remember, it has it has the accents on top and acute. Okay, it has the rough breathing and acute accent. And ho, don't confuse that for the nominative masculine definite article. It has the rough breathing and it also has the acute accent. So don't confuse those. So hos, he, ho. Masculine is hos, feminine is he, neuter is ho. Who, which, that. You have who, his, who, of whom, of which, of whose. I mean whose. Ho, he, ho, to whom, which. Hen, hun, hen, ho, whom, which, that. Notice compared to case endings and the article. Okay, these are the same except for the nominative singular and neuter. They are the same as the article if you add a tau to the rest of it. So it's a similar kind of ending. So you should not struggle with that. In plural, again, you have hoi, hi, ha. Notice that the ha there is neuter. Hun, 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 hois, his, hois, whose, has, ha. So again, the key is for you to recognize that these are Greek relative pronouns and you will know by their accents. The form, what should the form look like? In this case, number and gender are determined by what? Their antecedent, because they are standing in place of another word. So the number and gender will be determined by the antecedent, but case by the function inside the relative clause. By the function. When you say the woman whom we saw was walking to the subway or walking to the market, whom agrees with woman, okay, and the case and gender thing will be more clear in the Greek than it is in the English. The star that they had seen in the east, that is a relative clause. Okay, we've looked at that, we've seen that, but let me show you the Greek to show you. Here you have a sentence. Hos u lambane ton stauron autu kai akoluthe opizo mu uk esten mu achios. Okay, that sentence is hos, whoever u lambane does not take up ton stauron, the cross, autu, his cross, kai akoluthe, and follow opizo mu, after me, uk esten, is not mu axios, worthy of me. So the relative pronoun here is hos. Hos. Whoever does not take up his cross. Now that is a relative clause. Relative clause introduced by hos. Whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me. So those are two relative pronouns. Two relative clauses introduced by a relative pronoun. Whoever does not take off his cross, kai, and akoluthe opizomo, and follow after me. Then what is the sentence? Uk esten mu achios, is not worthy of me. The whoever here is substantive standing in place of a noun, and it introduces the relative clause or the dependent clause. Whoever does not take off his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. So normally it will modify another word, who, which, that. So the man who is sitting at the table, the word who is a relative pronoun modifying the word man. The man who is sitting at the table is my pastor. Function, okay, you will possibly add other words to it if it is used substantively. You can say he who takes up his cross, or whoever takes up his cross. When you are translating, this can be confusing, but just keep that in mind. Keep the clause together. Keep the relative clause together. If identify it, bracket it off, keep it together. The relative clause will never contain the main verb of the sentence or the main subject of the sentence. Never. Always try to connect your relative clause number 3 to its antecedent. What is it standing in place of? In summary, the Greek relative clauses are hos masculine, he feminine, ho neuter. It follows the 2-1-2 form and it has the rough breathing. Number 2, the case is determined by the function, the gender and number by its antecedent. Number 3, a relative clause will always introduce a relative pronoun, a relative pronoun will always introduce the relative clause. Number 4, when it is functioning as an adjective or substantively, you can add other words to bring it out. It is dependent. It will never have the main subject or the main verb of the sentence. Now, here's some good news about vocabulary. If you have been keeping up with it, you should be encouraged. You have vocabulary here now. You notice 67% you have so far. If you have been keeping up with vocabulary, you have learned 169 words, which make up 67% of all the words that occur in the New Testament. I hope you're encouraged, and this is going to continue to grow. Please do not grow weak in your vocabulary, okay? Be faithful in learning it. Here is your vocabulary. Hodos, feminine. Notice that this word has the masculine ending, but it's feminine. Hodos, and you know that by the article he. Hodos means way. Aletheia, feminine, truth. Erene, he, peace. Enopion, before. Epangelia, message, gospel. Epta, seven. Thronos. You wanna guess what that is? Thronos. Throne. Oh, this is a good one. Jerusalem. Jerusalem. A good word to syllabify Jerusalem. Here you have kata, according to kafele. Kafele. Head. Hudos. Way. Now you have your relative pronouns. Horse. He. Ho. You have hute. When. Hoop. Hutos. Hutos. And then you have pleon, neuter, rema, to rema. That is word, and don't be deceived by people out there who say rema means something special. It basically means word. Okay? Te,